Hello, I'm Camelia and this is KiniNews. It appears it's been a while since we reported anything on Najib Abdul Razak. Well, that changes today. Najib wants Shafee Abdullah by his side before he testifies as a witness in a case involving a former UMNO leader.
Najib Abdul Razak told the High Court in Kuala Lumpur today that he was not prepared to testify in the trial of Shahrir Samad without the presence of his lawyer. Shahrir is facing charges of failing to declare 1 million ringgit allegedly received from Najib. Najib, who is the prosecution's 23rd witness, said his lawyer, Muhammad Shafee Abdullah, could not be in court today as he was out of town. He then requested to testify on January 5th. At that time, his lawyer Shafee will be present. Najib said this is because it is important for his lawyer to be with him. Deputy Public Prosecutor Rashida Murni Azmi requested the court to consider the matter. Lawyer Firoz Hussein Ahmad Jamaluddin, representing Shahrir, did not object to it. Judge Muhammad Jamil Hussein then set January 5th for Najib to appear in court to testify in the case. Shahrir is facing a charge of money laundering by not stating his real income in the income tax return form for assessment year 2013 on the 1 million ringgit believed to be from unlawful activities which he received from Najib. This is a violation of Section 113(1)(a) of the Income Tax Act 1967. He was charged with committing the offence at IRB Duta Branch on April 25, 2014.
We received more devastating news from the search and rescue operation at the father's organic farm today, with 4 more bodies found, 2 of them children.
4 more bodies were found at the landslide site at the father's organic farm in Hulu, Selangor today. According to the Selangor Fire and Rescue Department, the bodies were recovered today were that of 2 adults and 2 children. This brings the death toll to 30, according to the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA. This is believed to include a body that was discovered at 10:30 a.m. as reported by the police. Search and rescue operations are now on their 7th day at the landslide site. Bernama reported that the operation was halted around 10 p.m. yesterday and resumed this morning. The landslide occurred last Friday at the father's organic farm campsite, Gotong Jaya, close to Patangkali. A total of 94 persons were impacted. 61 of those people were saved. The search is still ongoing for the remaining 3 missing victims.
Heavy rain is expected to cause flash floods in 6 states. If you're in one of those states, do listen to the authorities and prepare.
Flash floods are expected to hit Johor, Pahang, Perak, Sabah, Selangor, and Terengganu within 24 hours if there is heavy rain or significant thunderstorms. This is according to the National Flood Forecasting and Warning Center of the Drainage and Irrigation Department. The center issued a notice at 7 a.m. today. The areas that may be affected in Johor are Kota Tinggi, around Sedili Kecil, and Ulu Sungai, Sedili Besar, Muar, as well as Mersing. In Pahang, it may affect 3 districts, namely Kuantan, Maran, and Pekan. Meanwhile, in Perak, 2 districts are expected to be affected, namely Bagandatok and Hilir Perak. In Sabah, the areas are in Tuaran, while in Selangor, it involves the Klang area. For Terengganu, it affects Marang and Kuala Terengganu. The notice was issued to enable residents, especially in the risk areas, to be aware of the possibility of flash floods during that period.
While the flood situation may be worsening, it's still under control, according to Home Minister Saifuddin Nasution.
Home Minister Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the floods that have hit several states do not warrant the government declaring a climate emergency for now. He said there are certain processes and evaluations that have to be carried out before such a declaration can be made. During a press conference in Wakaf Baru in Kelantan, he said for the moment there is no need to declare a climate emergency because the situation is still under control. He added that on the whole, flood operations are under control and running well, with reports submitted regularly, including during yesterday's cabinet meeting. He said this after handing over aid to flood victims at a relief center in Alor Pasir. Also present were Deputy Home Minister Shamsul Anwar Nasara and Kelantan Police Chief Muhammad Zaki Harun. Before this, Muar MP Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman filed an emergency motion seeking Dewan Rakyat to declare a climate emergency and discuss immediate flood mitigation measures to minimize damage.
Anwar continues to offer an olive branch to states run by the opposition in an effort to make sure all Malaysians are taken care of.
Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has given assurance that he is ready to work with all parties, including the opposition-led states. Anwar said this was conveyed through his visit to Kelantan. Speaking at a press conference on Wednesday, he said he has mentioned before that his duty as Prime Minister is to govern and manage the country in the best possible way. He added that his focus in Kelantan is to address the flood issue. Anwar spoke to reporters after visiting flood victims at Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Tengku Panglima Raja in Pasir Mas, Kelantan. Also present were Education Minister Fadli Nasidek, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department Armizan Muhammad Ali, and Kelantan Menteri Besar Ahmad Yaakob. Elaborating, Anwar said he was open to discussion with Ahmad on development issues in Kelantan.
Malaysia moves closer to abolishing the mandatory death penalty with a bill set to be tabled next year. However, the amendments would not abolish the death penalty completely.
The government is expected to table a bill on abolishing the mandatory death penalty in the parliament in February next year. This is according to the minister in the Prime Minister's Department in charge of Law and Institutional Reform, Azalina Othman. In a statement on Wednesday, Azalina said the proposal for alternatives were being reviewed and discussed during the cabinet meeting today. She said the implementation of the alternative punishment proposal is the government's commitment to ensure that the execution of the abolition of the mandatory death penalty is scrutinized in detail from all aspects. She added, this is to ensure any follow-up action by the government pertaining to this issue will have a positive impact on the country. Azalina also said the criminal justice system is the main foundation for a safe and peaceful society. The Pengerang MP said the AG's chambers examined the implementation policy for proposed alternative sentencing to the mandatory death penalty that involves the sentence for 11 offences under the Penal Code and the Firearms Act 1971. It also involves 23 offences which may carry the punishment at the discretion of the courts under the Penal Code, the Firearms Act, Firearms Increased Penalties Act 1971, and the Kidnapping Act 1961. While amending laws does not abolish the death penalty completely, Azalina said it gives the courts discretion to decide on an appropriate punishment based on the facts of the case. The implementation of the alternative sentencing to the mandatory death sentence is expected to have a direct impact on 1,327 convicts who are currently on death row.
2 government MPs were absent during the Deputy Speaker election this week. However, it appears Ramli Noor got 2 extra votes from PN MPs.
The Deputy Speaker election on Monday resulted in an odd outcome where the 2 government candidates received a different number of votes. Cameron Highlands MP Ramli Muhammad Noor received 148 votes, while Lanang MP Alice Lau received 146. It was initially assumed that 2 government MPs did not vote for Lau. However, lawmakers speaking on condition of anonymity told Malaysia Kini that they were reliably informed that 2 government MPs were actually absent during the Deputy Speaker election. Checks by Malaysia Kini of the Parliament live stream found that one of the 2 missing government backbenchers is Tapah MP M. Saravanan. Saravanan's chair remained empty from before the vote until it concluded. However, he was present later during the vote of confidence. When contacted, Saravanan said he had gone out for lunch but did not make it back in time for the Deputy Speaker vote. He also claimed to have not been informed that the Deputy Speaker election would be conducted right after the lunch break. It is unclear who the second missing backbencher was or if one of them abstained from voting entirely. Not voting during the Deputy Speaker election is unlikely to be in contravention of the Memorandum of Agreement between government MPs, as it is not a motion of confidence or a fiscal bill. Meanwhile, the MP sources said they were informed by Parliament staff that the 2 extra votes for Ramli had come from Perikatan Nasional, although their identities were not revealed to the lawmakers.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Kimilia. Thanks for watching.